Chatham, and he's gonna give his testimony. How you doing, Greg?
I'm good. Well, you know, I start out my testimonies the same, you know, to know where somebody's going. I always think it's important to find out where they've been. And my story starts out about like anybody else's, you know. I mean, you hear it all over the country where you started out in church. You know, I was raised in a Christian home. I was raised in a godly community. And at that point in time, which I think is important, you know, I was raised in a godly country, you know, where we miss that a lot nowadays. But went to school, went to church. Well, you know, school, we had prayer, we had pledge of allegiance. Everything was to glorify God. We went to church every time the doors was open. My parents, which is late Ted Chatham and Marietta Chatham from Dorsey, we believed in church. We believed in God. You know, they instilled that in us, me and my brother and sister. And went to church every time the door was open. You know, we was church camps, revivals, you know, whatever we had, we went. And you know, everything was good. Everything was rocking right on like it was supposed to. And then, like most people, I hit those teenage years, and that's just kind of screwed up everybody's plan there. And I got, early on I didn't do too much, but later on, 16, 17 years old, I started drinking, started rebellion pretty good. You know, I remember coming home one day, and my dad and my mother both was sitting in the kitchen table crying their eyes out. That's the first time I stayed out all night. They didn't know where I was. You know, before cell phones, so you couldn't find me. And I just started rebellion real big, and just started drinking. And my drinking got, you know, worse and worse and worse as time went on. And done several, you know, nights in jail on the public drunks, and first one thing. And I ended up there about 20 years old. 21 years old. And my daddy died. He got killed on a tractor. And from that time, I skyrocketed down. You know, I mean, it was just, everything became, what I was doing, to an extent, became my everyday life. Because here I was, a 20, 21-year-old kid, and I lost everything he knew that was good. You know, everything was just gone from me in a blink of an eye. Michael knew when did he?
I did.
He says everything was gone. You know, everything was, I didn't have nothing, you know.
Did you?
In my own mind, I didn't have a clue.
I'm sorry. Did you have something you felt you needed to tell him before he left?
Oh, yes.
Or did you get that chance?
No, me and him fought. Now, growing up, I was hanging on him like a piece of Velcro. But once I started drinking, me and him fought almost every day. The last thing I've said to him was in anger. So yes, that still hurts me to this day that I never did get the chance, you know, to say I'm sorry, or never did, you know, we never did get that chance to make up.
Was it because of the drinking that the
Mostly,
argument was still?
yeah, yes, all of it was. My daddy was a hard man, but he was a just man.
Was he a religious man?
He was, and he was a hard worker. He instilled in that from us from day one. We was raised on a farm, so it was always hauling hay. We had chicken houses, and but you know, it was just, it's more me than it was him. I don't, you know, I can't blame nothing on him because it was all me, you know, and that still haunts me to this day that I didn't have that opportunity to make everything right. You know.
Greg, have you forgiven yourself for that?
Just here recently.
Amen.
Here recently, I have. I struggled with it, and like I say, I started drinking just every day, drinking. Wound up bathroom floor one night with a bunch of pills, and I was just I figured the best way for me to do anything was just end it. You know, keep everybody, I was just a bad eye, you know, bad apple in everybody's eyes. Well, I thought it was, and,
I can relate to that.
you know, but all the time, something kept on nudging me to keep on. But like I say, I ended up in the bathroom floor one night. Been out drinking for, like I say, I used to go out drinking for 2 or 3 weeks at a time. And had a bottle of Percodans, Percocets, one of them, I forget which one it was.
Yeah, painkillers.
Just started eating them like Skittles, you know, just handfuls at a time. And I'm laying there on the floor after I done ate all of these, and I got to thinking about all the people I'm gonna leave behind.
Right.
And I got to thinking about all the people that's my daddy in particular. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden my stomach just felt like it turned a flip. And everything I just ate, I threw up right back up in the toilet. The pills wasn't even dissolved. You know, to me, I kind of played it off at the time, you know, like, all right, I'll do something else, you know. And never did stop drinking, just continued on drinking and drinking. Then once I got married, I quit drinking, had my kids. We even started getting back in church some. When they was younger, we was getting back in church. And then everything was, you know, I done pretty much quit drinking and quit smoking, quit, you know, everything.
Right.
And everything was going good. Everything was going wonderful, actually, you know, I thought. But then once I got a divorce, I just skyrocketed down again. I just went back drinking and partying and just, you know, different women on women. And it was just, there was a difference this time. I was a lot older. I was working out of town. I had my own money. I made good money. So it seems like it was sure enough a never-ending thing. You know, I partied with numerous places, numerous people. Every time I was in New Orleans, I had a buddy of mine that went to party with the Hells Angels. You know, I've done that several different times. Just, you know, and those would last for weeks and weeks on end. But always in the back of my mind, something was missing. When I get home to my kids, everything was, I was happy. I was, you know, we had ball games, we had the whole 9 yards there, but then I get to where, I guess, the withdrawal from the alcohol and the drugs and stuff, it was just that, you know, I couldn't hardly wait to get back out there and do it again.
It was pulling you back.
It was pulling me back and continued to pull me back until I was just out of control.
Do you, right now, do you still have that pullback feeling, or is that gone now?
No, I mean, it's, you know, they always told me once alcoholic, always alcoholic. And I never did really get diagnosed from a doctor that I was alcoholic. But for several years, that's all I dealt with was alcohol.
Right.
So to me, that's alcoholic. Whenever you can't do without it,
Right.
you're addicted to it.
That's right.
Same way with smoking, same way with eating, same way with, you know, drinking coffee or something. You know, you get addicted to anything.
To it, yes, sir.
And I was addicted to it. And to this day, it doesn't bother me no more that I see people drinking. I mean, it bothers me that I see people drinking, but as far as me wanting it, it doesn't no more. Now, up until such a few years ago, I couldn't even hardly watch a commercial on TV without wanting more. You know.
Was it beer or whiskey?
Beer. Most all over the beer.
I think our viewers would like to know, if your sons or daughters, whatever, if they start drinking, what would you tell them?
Well, and you know, it's funny that, you know, with teenagers, they're going to experiment with it and all. But, but the thing is, my kids, one thing I did do all that time, I hid it from my kids and my family.
Right. That was the
yes, but it was for my own pity why I hid it. It wasn't because I was just trying to hide it from them, it was because I didn't want them to see me that way,
Okay.
you know.
Felt bad about it.
Right, that feeling kept on coming over me where I felt bad about different things. I mean, it was, which, you know, people says mama knows everything, and I'm sure she does know everything, but it was years before I would even tell her, you know, how bad I was, and to this day, she don't know how bad I was.
Do you think she suspected?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. She's told me many times she used to come in my room and it just smelled like a brewery, you know, whenever she waking me up in the mornings. And it was, yeah, it was bad. I heard a lot of people. I heard an awful lot of people in that time. Some people I knew, some people I didn't know. It's took me a long time, like you were saying a while ago, to forgive myself.
Right.
And one of the things that helped me so much to forgive myself was this book. I started reading the Bible and started, you know, and that helped and helped and helped and helped. But my biggest downfall, I was in New Orleans, Louisiana, and I've been on Bourbon Street for like 2 or 3 nights straight. And I'm sitting there coming, it came over me that I knew, and a voice that I heard just as plain as me and you talking, that if I didn't stop, I wasn't gonna make it home. This was on like a Thursday night. I was gonna leave that Friday morning, going home. And I honestly believe that if I didn't change then, I never would have made it home that next day. The voice was that clear to me, and that, you know, it hit me that hard. Out of all the things that I did, out of all of the places I've been, and all of the people I hurt, and all of the drinking I did, and the gambling, and the countless women, it was just in that one moment. It all hit me at one time of what I really did do and what I really have done. So, I mean, I dropped to my knees and I started just pleading, just begging. And after about 45 minutes to an hour of just nothing but face to the floor, you know, pleading, you know, just begging for forgiveness, just confessing, repenting. Whenever I stood up, it was just like,
Free.
you know, I'm looking around, you know, and it's just awesome.
God,
Awesome, yes, awesome feeling.
I know that. Wonderful feeling.
I mean, it's just, I mean, didn't even, I had beer in the little refrigerator there in the motel room. I poured it out just quick as I stood up. Couldn't even stand the smell of it while I was pouring it out.
That's God.
I mean, that's nothing but God, and it was so amazing and so real the way it hit me. It's like I've been planning it for years. You know, trying to plan, you know how you plan a vacation, then all of a sudden it happens. Right. It's like I've been working up to that one point. And I really believe that in our life that we, you know, and I always say that I'm thankful for the bad in my life as I was the good, because the bad is what made me who I am today. But man, it's just that so much bad happened to me that it took me several years to finally convince myself that God has forgiven me and that I am forgiven. And even though I was living right still, it's just, you know, there's no way I could be, you know, there's no way in my mind I was forgiven for the things I did, because, you know, even though I was drunk or high a lot of times, I still knew what I did, and a lot of stuff I did, there's no way, you know.
Yeah.
There's no way that I could be forgiven for some of the stuff I did.
Did you see any of your friends die from?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've seen I've been in the hospital And this is something that my mother doesn't even know about. But, you know, I've been in the hospital with my stomach pumped because of alcohol poisoning.
I've had that.
And
It's not fun.
you know, it's not fun. No, it's not
No,
fun.
it's
Not at all. You know, I had an alcohol overdose one time, had a stomach pump, and then I had alcohol poisoning. Now, I didn't know there was a difference between the two, but apparently there was. You know, and that's, you know, people, you know, a lot of times I joke about some of the stuff I do, but it's real. I was in a dark, dark place in my life, and I was in that dark place for a long, long. Now that happened several years ago, and it took me 2 or 3 years after that to become to a place where I was content. And when I say content, I mean I'm waking up with God. I'm going to sleep with God. Everything I do is with God. My mind is at ease. I finally forgave myself for the things I've done. It's contentment. You know, in several places in the Bible it talks about contentment. And once you learn to be content with your life and the things that you've done, well, you have no place other to go but up.
What you're talking about is forgiving yourself.
Right. You can't go backwards once you get to that point of contentment. You know,
God won't let you go back.
right, and it's a wonderful thing. Now and since all that, which that's just a short summary of the things I've done. You know, I used to bounce in some of them bars and stuff, and you know, I've been in countless fights, and you know, I've been stabbed, I've been shot at. It's a wonder I'm still here. You know,
God definitely has a purpose for you, Greg.
He had a purpose. He did. He absolutely did. And I just thank God that He let me get over all of that to get to this point. Because now I'm having a large time now, a really good time now, where before I thought I was having a good time, but I wasn't. He's took me into places that I never would have dreamed of went. It's been, I think this New Year's will be 14 years since I had anything to drink. And now I'm not going to say he's kept me out of bars. I had a woman call me here not too long ago, worried about her son. Her son was sitting over here at the bar in Tupelo shade tree. Won't nobody go over and get him. But you know, I'm 300 pounds, and then my beard was down to here, and I had on 4 pair of overalls, and I walked in the bar with my Bible underneath my hand. Now that's God.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And before I left there, I had 4 or 5 people listening to me. You know,
That's awesome.
I mean that's seed. That's planting seeds. You know. And but anyhow, me and that boy, I got that boy out of that bar, and to my knowledge, he hasn't been back. And I haven't talked to him in several months, but he hasn't been back. And he's listened to. He's been over there to Broken Lives some, and first, you know, he's listened to me over there some and all, which I don't hardly go over there no more because I got so busy doing everything else. But it's God. I mean, there's nothing you can say but God. I mean, like I say, I've been sober now for 13 going on 14 years.
That's awesome.
When you wake up in the morning and know where you've been the night before, and you know how you got home, and you know, I mean, that's
a lot better than nothing.
Yes.
How did I get home?
I mean, I used to wake up and the first thing I'd do, look outside to see if my truck was outside or not.
Yeah.
And that used to be what I did, because I couldn't remember how I got home.
Right.
Didn't care who I hurt, didn't care what I did, you know, I was just, and now I don't have to worry about that. You know.
That's what they used to call the me factor. It's me.
Right.
And now what is it now, Greg?
It's God.
That's right.
It's God. It's every bit of God. And since then, though, I've seen all 3 of my kids get saved and baptized.
Awesome. I bet that's the best feeling in the world, right?
I've even seen, and I've even seen my ex-wife, my kid's mother, she's been saved and baptized, which is a blessing. And I've seen countless people that I used to know that still hangs around some, you know, but once I got to sure enough living for God, you know, you're gonna see some of them kind of dwindle off, and, you know, they don't want to change their ways, you know, but you know, people see me nowadays and that knew me back then, they think, whoa, hold on, this ain't the same Greg I used to know, you know. It's not the same Greg you used to know.
That's right.
Yes,
You became a different creature when God took hold of your life.
amen. He says all, you know, he says you become a new creature, and I did. And since then I became a deacon, which nobody that knew me would ever dream.
Did you ever dream of that?
No, I didn't ever dream I'd be in church. I mean, you know, I didn't. I didn't even, during all that time, church never did cross my mind, Greg. It never did. I actually remember sitting in Tupelo one night, and this is when the old mall was still over there by the hospital. I remember sitting in the parking lot drunk one night, talking to a bunch of girls, and this is when I went to Bethel Church, Bethel Baptist then. But I remember the preacher come across the parking lot to talk to me, and I jumped in my Jeep and jumped the curb and left before he could get over and talk to me.
You're running from it.
Running from him, yes, running from him.
Afraid of a lecture? Or?
Afraid of a preacher coming up to ask me how come I ain't been in church, what I was afraid of.
Right.
It wasn't that I was drinking.
I know what you're talking
You know, it wasn't that I was drinking. It wasn't that anything I was doing wrong. I just didn't want to answer the question on, you know, why haven't you been in church?
It's the guilty feeling.
Exactly. I didn't want to answer that question. You know, I listened to Michael there a while ago with his testimony, and his disability was his eyesight.
Right.
My disability was drinking. You know, you want to talk about this? You know, we all got a disability.
Right.
And we all overcome this disability. You know, to talk to Michael, you never would think he was blind unless you were standing there face to face with him.
Right.
You know, he doesn't let on about it. He doesn't, you know, a lot of people with disabilities and stuff, that's the first thing you find out is what's wrong with them.
Right.
I've never heard Michael say the first thing about what's wrong with him or complain about it.
That's right.
You know, I mean, you don't complain about it, and that's the God factor in it that's working. When you come to realize that God has a plan and a purpose for your life, no matter what you did beforehand, and no matter what you do, and you realize that God's got this bigger plan for you.
Right.
And the disability part of the, like you said, the me factor dwindles away, and you focus on God.
That's right.
And once you get to that place where you can focus on God and you forget about the me factor of it, the woe am I part of it, and you start living for God, the woe am I takes care of itself.
That's right.
It becomes less and less involved in your life, and before you know it, ain't nothing wrong with me.
That's right.
You know, I'm just as good can be. And that's the point of it, and that's the feeling that you get. I've drank, I've smoked dope, I've took pills, I've done all of this stuff, and I've never had the feeling of what I had whenever God came into my life.
No, there's no drug in the world.
I've never had that one feeling, you know, and it's, and the thing that I like about it most is a feeling that stays with you. I used to drink, a lot of time I used to drink for fun, and then I got to drinking where I try to drink to forget. And you know, so quickly you start sobering up, you start remembering things again, so you start drinking again. And I would literally walk around with a big old mug for the beer all day long, you know, just so I wouldn't have to deal with some of that stuff popping back up in my head.
Right. Yeah, I understand exactly where you're coming from.
You know, and I used to take them pain pills, and I never really was what I would call addicted to them. But it's just whenever I couldn't drink, I had to have something. So I used to take a pain pill here and there, and now I guess if a fella can overdose on ibuprofen, I might overdose on ibuprofen, but it's not because of I don't take them because of the reason that I used to. I take them because I'm almost 48 years old and didn't take care of my body, and everything hurts when I move, so that's why I take them now. You know, that old song, I used my body like an old honky tonk, and I did. It was just, they did take care of it. This Christmas makes 2 years since I had my heart attack, and you know, that was a blessing in disguise. The nurse in the ambulance there, and I was sitting there praying while she was popping them nitroglycerin pills down my throat. She shook me and said, "Mr. Chatham, you okay?" I said, "I'm just praying." She said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, it's okay. I'm praying for you too. You know, and it's to be into that state, to be near death like I was, man, I had this sense of contentment. I had this sense of, I wasn't worried. I wasn't, wasn't scared. I wasn't, that's contentment.
That's right.
That's God.
That's right. That's right.
And I encourage anybody that's going through anything to seek that kind of contentment from God. It'll change your life.